which is one of, I've been, as many of you know, I have the pleasure often, and many of us who are part of Scale, of going and visiting a lot of communities that are in this together. And so when I happened to have the pleasure of visiting Algoma, we just bumped into this amazing story and this amazing group of youth. And I'm not going to tell you anything more about them, except they just lifted my heart. It was the same week, I think I was going from Algoma to visit with the Dalai Lama. And there was something in that was so joyful together because of what it meant together. And I hope you'll capture some of what I saw in that.
So I'm going to start off and say thank you. I am Teal Van Lannen from Algoma. Thank you, Laura. Wisconsin, sorry. Algoma. Yeah, where's Algoma? We are Packer fans, yes. I just wanted to say, I wanted to say thank you. Your story has really resonated with us because especially when we saw that clip too, the kids, I could see their faces, and I shouldn't even call you kids, the future change agents of Algoma. They were excited to hear your story, and they were just smiling like, I could see that in Algoma. That's what we're going to do. And you really inspired them. So thank you for sharing your story. I want to start off by kind of connecting why we're here, what Live Algoma is, and where we're from. But I was a fifth grade teacher for 7 years. And I was very frustrated with that we have to have these high academic standards for our kids, and they would come into our door and we'd be teaching them mathematic facts and comprehension of reading and all these things, and I would look around the room and I had more than half of my class was living in poverty, and their basic needs are not being met. I had a student who would sleep 2 hours a day. He had 74 tardies the first semester of school. His diet contributed to so much of his learning, and I was feeling frustrated and I was feeling angry, and it wasn't a good place for me to be. And so in our staff meetings, I would be very vocal. I love our administration, and they're another reason why we're here today, but our administration would say, we can't control what happens outside of our school. We can only control what happens here. And I didn't like to hear that. And I said, when do we get back to it takes a village to raise a child? When do we get back to that? And so at the same time, Bellin Health, that's a health provider in our area, they were looking for a community that they could really see if they could make a difference in. Can we provide resources and education to improve the health and well-being? And so it all started with a conversation. Can we do this? And I was a teacher. And last December, Pete Knox, the vice president of Bellin, said, would you be willing to do this? Would you be willing to help us, the school district? Could we partner together and could we do this? And my superintendent myself said, we are in. Here we are. So Pete Knox said, well, in 3 days, I'm going to send you down to the IHI Summit. And I got here and I was like, oh my goodness, what are we getting into? And here we are today, and I have some amazing people up here. And I go to bed at night, I used to go to bed at night thinking, what am I doing? I left the classroom. But someone told me, Teal, you didn't leave the classroom. Your classroom has just expanded. Today I'm a community activator. I work for the school district. I'm an improvement advisor for Scale. And these are the future change agents. They are the change agents, and I want them to share their story.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Karina. I'm nervous, so bear with me. So this is how I got involved with this. This was a class, a healthcare class, and we got a grant from Bellin Health and the American Heart Association for a hands-only CPR kit. And we were tasked with how do we do something besides just learn this by ourselves. There was only like this many kids in the class, and what do we do with this? So from there we decided that we wanted to train others in our community. We saw the statistic of 70% of people do not know how to perform CPR. we wanted to test this, and we tested at a basketball game. We asked people as they came in the door, do you know it, do you not? And our city had 75% of people did not know, which really stuck with us because at basketball games, you know, we live in a small community, and so there was people that were required to know this for their job. Volunteer firefighters, teachers, and still 75% did not know how to do CPR. So we made these PDSA cycles. We were pretty new to it. We didn't really know how it worked, but we got through it. Our aim was to teach 20 people per game. We chose 2 basketball games. Our aim was 20 people per game, and it went really well. We ended up teaching 130 people. And from there, we were like, we don't want this to be just an event. We don't want it to stop here. So we are now going forward in the community. We want to start up businesses, employers, and teach all of their employees how to perform hands-only CPR. We want to make policy changes in the school where before every kid graduates, they need to know hands-only CPR. We are also, right now, the rest of my class is at a hockey game where I live, teaching hands-only CPR there. There's a girl in my class who wants to bring Latinas within the community, bring them forward and help them get more involved. And she's also taking the hands-only CPR to them. We want to expand. We don't want to be the ones just learning. We want to teach others. We want them to keep learning. We want to spark that in everyone else. One more way we're expanding it is we are partnering with, I know I saw some boos and hands down, but the Packers. We're excited about that. But yeah, really we want to expand what we know. We want others to learn, and even if this is just a small thing in someone's lives, we saw what an impact it really makes. You know, this stuff like this happens all the time, and there is 25%, but that 25% might not be with you when something like this happens. So we really want everyone to know, and that's kind of what got me started in all this. So.
Hello, my name is Brenda Paralero, and I have the privilege of being their English teacher. And how it all began, so I teach a college writing class. It is juniors and seniors, and the goal is just to prepare them to be able to write at a college level. So I've been teaching this for about 5 years, and in those 5 years, I've developed a project where the students choose, or they do a community research project. And usually I assign the topic, so we've researched the algae in Lake Michigan and what's causing that, and a lot of other things. But this time I didn't know what to choose, so I was talking with a colleague. So it started with a conversation, and I said, I don't know what to have the students do. And he said, well, why don't you match up with Algoma? It seems like a pretty good fit. And so that's what I did. And so this time around, I let the students choose the need that they saw. So they looked for a need in the community. They set up their own interviews. They went down to the grade school. They interviewed business owners in our community. They gathered all the data, they analyzed it, and then they presented their findings. And as I keep reflecting on everything that's happened, why is it that I'm here before you in Orlando, Florida, presenting about a project that I've been doing for 5 years? And the key this time was that I gave them an audience. So usually with a project, they would just present to each other, to their classmates, of what they found. And this time, they presented in front of community leaders. The mayor was there, the superintendent of our school, individuals from Valley Health. And at that point, it was just like, oh, they get a real life presentation, practicing these skills. And from there, it just snowballed and developed. And Caden's gonna talk more about what's happened since, but I think the key to all of it is that they were listened to. They were given a voice, and the people who listened were inspired and started giving them invitations to continue the work. So I'm going to let Kaden talk more about it.
but other ones it included like some people thought that the kids in our community, specifically the high schoolers, didn't have that much to do on the weekends or during school, and we wanted to change something about it. And with the project, people listened to us, and that was a good part. But another big part about it was people were contacted afterwards to continue their projects and to actually have them happen. We really didn't think anything would happen. We were like, oh, this would be a good idea. And then one thing we really realized was that we're making this change. So with that group, somebody contacted that student, and now we have monthly activities where we have a local youth club that's it's open to all kids, but mostly elementary school kids go to it. So now one weekend a month, it's open to only high schoolers, and that had great success. And so that's something that really inspired us to keep going forward. And from that, we had some other opportunities that came up. We were actually offered a Harvard class, and we were all part of this Harvard class, and we were learning the PDSA cycle through that, and we started with our own personal cycles, which we thought was really important because Quinn will talk about it later, but so he started out with our own things. Mine personally was to try and lower my own stress level and getting ready for college and all. And at first I was kind of half in, half out, and then after doing it yourself and seeing it in your own improvement in yourself, it kind of makes you really connected with it, I guess, and you notice it everywhere you go. Like, we'll be learning in a different class, and you're like, oh, PDSA cycle, that would work so perfectly. And then, sorry. So the PDSA cycle is plan, do, study, act.
Right.
So you plan out what you're going to do, and then you do it. So you do what you plan, and then you study it, and then you act on it again, and keep going until you get the ultimate improvement. And one thing you realize, you have to have many cycles before you can get what you want. So,
super nervous, so just come up here for a second. We're not going to play these slides right now. I think this is too formal for them. I'm going to put you guys on the spot a little bit, okay? Take a deep breath. These people are our people. They put their pants on the same way, I think. I want you guys to share your story, okay? So they realized through all of these projects that were assigned, they realized through hands-only CPR and that opportunity that people listened, okay? And they have some powerful stories to share, and they're gonna probably be a little emotional. They're gonna yell at me after because I'm bringing that out of them. But they said, we are in, and they took the courage to take the Harvard course with me that was offered online. It was on improvement science because I wanted to learn more. We had 8 high school students that stepped up to the plate. They all had ideas of how to improve the community, but they needed the tools and the support and the guidance to do that. So they went through the Harvard course, and Quinn is going to tell you what they did next, which is pretty awesome, and how this is spreading in our community. All right? So Quinn, I'd like you to share your story, and don't even worry about those slides back there. All right?
Okay, so once Teal invited us to take the Harvard class, and then following the Harvard class, one of the 6th grade teachers at the elementary school was working on their social issues topic in their English class, and so she contacted us, the Harvard class, and asked if we would be willing to kind of share some of maybe the ideas and some of the tools that we've learned through some of the things that we've been doing in the community. And we thought this would be the perfect time to teach the PDSA cycle. And so we were teaching 6th graders college information